Hey, look, it's a
Maybe.
Ferris Bueller moment,
I
huh?
was going to say, maybe wait for them to turn their cameras on.
Sure.
If not, I'll do it.
Okay.
Hi, Karina.
Okay. Well, if everybody's good, yeah, it's okay. We'll go ahead and start our PCS meeting. Is that cool? Yes. Okay, great.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is the regular Parks and Community Services Commission meeting. The time is 6:32 on September 9th, 2021. And so I'm calling the meeting to order. Commissioner Margolotti, would you be able to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Liz, can we please have roll call?
Yes. Honorary Commissioner Silamu. Commissioner Griggs.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Sorrente.
Here.
Commissioner Margolotti.
Here.
Vice Chair Einberger.
Here.
And Chair Mamrell.
Here. And I understand that Honorary Commissioner Moon is absent for cause. Can we have a motion to excuse Honorary Commissioner Moon's presence?
I move that we excuse Honorary Commissioner Moon.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposition? Motion passes. Okay, so next next up is public comment. And I understand that we have some folks in the waiting room. We also have public comment from last month as well as this month for this current meeting. I think for courtesy, let's open it up for public comment for the folks that are in the waiting room or present at our video meeting.
Does anyone in the waiting room have a comment? Okay, looks like we have one chair. That's from Justin Hamilton.
Okay.
Justin, are you there?
Yes, Liz, I am here.
Okay.
I had a couple things. I will get my on time on my clock. The birthday of Soul Dawson Way, I was a grader waiting. I see all the kids going back to school Dawson Way. And today I did this when the parent picked the kids up to school, I waved them. And it's so nice to see them on Dawson Way School. The second one is, I know I'm very patient. I know you're on Zoom home. And I hope you guys will be back in person the City Hall. Hope it's soon. So I hope I can do Zoom. I don't have to go over there. So I stay home and watch it. So thank you. And I'm gonna say last thing. Say good night to you all.
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you for your comments. Always appreciate public comments, you know. Okay, and Liz, the public comments via email that were received, we'll kind of make note of them for the record, correct?
Correct, Chair. We received two public comments. One was from Patsy Thomas, one was Sophie Borghi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and they will be made part of the agenda.
Great. Okay, and yes, and while it's not our practice to actually read the emails during the meeting, the commissioners do have them, and I have read them, and one from Patsy Thomas we got just today. The one from Sophie Borgo we actually got a month ago, and just FYI, I've reached out to her. I've reached out to her personally. So, okay. Oh, commissioner comments are now at the end. I forget that. Okay, so for the commissioners, do we have any changes to the agenda? Okay, no changes to the agenda. We'll accept that as it is. There's no consent items. So we'll start with the first order of business, spring and summer recreation snapshots. Oh, sorry, Creighton, I think you're on mute.
And Chair, this is our customary monthly report for spring and summer. We're going to have our two supervisors, Alana Ben for recreation and Jody Michael for aquatics, present their reports for the last 90 to 100 days worth of programming. So Alana, if I can call on you.
Thank you. Okay, so spring and summer highlights. So the first one is really the big one for summer, which was our 4th of July event. We had 16 participants that started us off in a mini parade, and then we had 2 live bands. We were the only event in Napa County that was doing fireworks, so it was a real treat for our residents to be able to actually have a 4th of July celebration and enjoy in the fireworks. So not just kind of Napa County, it was actually felt like everywhere wasn't having fireworks, and we were the only one. But great turnout for the event. We had what we think was about 3,000 people in attendance, both at Community Park 2 and then kind of spread out along Benton, being able to watch the fireworks. So it was really great to see everyone out. Everyone was just really thankful that we were having something and that we were able to be there. So yeah, we didn't really hear any bad comments or anything like that about us not being able to have vendors or activities. So just really great environment, having people come out and just appreciative of the fireworks and us just being out there. Okay, next is our badminton strikes this summer. So we started open gym badminton through kind of the pandemic. And this summer we had 96 participants sign up. So it's 64 hours of badminton sessions offered from June to August. We maximized the courts, so we're able to do 6 courts inside that gym. And we've been able to increase the capacity recently from 12 to 36, which has been really great. And we're really starting to see a fan base start in American Canyon for badminton, which is awesome. And then this photo here is 2 members of the actual high school team taking on a father and daughter team, which is really cool. I don't know the final score, though, unfortunately. Here is our bunny hop that we did. So this was for kind of the Easter holiday to celebrate that. So it was a bunny hop drive-through. We had 106 vehicles drive through. We had 8 participants or participating agencies that were able to donate eggs and candy and goodies for people to collect. On our end, 8,500 eggs were handed out. It was awesome. And then we also were able to give away over 100 wildflower seed packets to the community so they can plant at home or around town or kind of anywhere. So it's really great to see everyone participate in that. It was kind of our secondary Halloween trunk or treat. Just turned spring and Easter and whatnot. So it was a lot of fun for the community. The caregiver drive. So we partnered with the County of Napa and Collaboracare to have our first caregiver drive in American Canyon. So Napa County is recruiting for caregivers. And so this was just kind of a push to give out information about how to become a caregiver and what that looks like. So we had 40 cars come through the 2-hour event, which was great. It definitely exceeded my expectations for that. We gave out prizes and Frisbees, and they actually had some survival kits, which were great for some caregivers. And then we had goodie bags that we were able to hand out from Collaboracare and the county. And then we threw in some goodies in there as well. Earth Day. So for Earth Day, we helped out American Canyon Community Parks Foundation. They had their Wetlands Up Close event, which had 120 participants. So we helped out by having a couple of booths there and passing out some goodies. So we had, again, some wildflower seeds, some reusable straws, and then some nature kits for kids, which was a lot of fun. We also logged some Earth Day cleanups, which we logged 48 hours for people. And then we also launched what's called a Bio Blitz, where people pretty much go on an app and they take pictures and they capture different flowers and insects and plants. And then they get identified as to what's in American Canyon. This kind of helps with, forget the group, but it helps with scientific observations for American Canyon. So we had 8 participants, but we had 31 snaps of different plants and insects, which was pretty cool. For St. Patrick's Day, we had what we called a Lucky Fun Fit Trail. So we did a fun chalk art exercise that was all rainbow colored, and then it led you to Lucky the Leprechaun. So we did this on 2 days, on March 13th and March 17th, at 2 different parks, one at Shenandoah and then one at Wetlands. So a total for Shenandoah, we had 55 participants, and for Wetlands, we had 28. It was kind of a windy day that day. But once they reached Lucky at the end of their fitness journey or fitness rainbow, they were able to get some gold coins, which were chocolate, and then some rainbow putty. And then they also got some clovers to plant at home or wherever to see if they can grow their own luck, is what we were telling the kids. So that was a lot of fun. Just something to shake it up and get the kids out and moving and really celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I think I showed you guys this one before, but this is just kind of going back for February with the Search and Solve with American Canyon Community and Parks Foundation. We partnered with them in their Heart Your Parks month, and we did a search and solve. So we had 4 park locations where we did pretty much riddles throughout the park that they had to solve. So you're able to walk the park, which is great fitness, and then you also are using your brain to try to figure out what the park is trying to say back to you. So this was for the month of February, and we had 99 participants, and collectively the data we collected that everybody walked was 81.65 miles, which is great. This recently was our S'mores and Meteors event. So we are back at Wetlands, which was great this year. We were able to do the telescopes. S'mores and silent disco is always a huge hit. But this year we actually were able to have someone come down from Lick Observatory to do mini seminars on meteor showers, which is something that we haven't had before. So that was really cool to see exactly what is a meteor shower, what it looks like up there, and how it happens. So it was really great to have them out there. And then we were also able to have a traveling star show for the kids. So it was someone doing some sing-along songs, which was really fun and catchy. So approximately we had 250 people in attendance. And we also did a self-guided trivia, which was about 8 people that did that. And then we had 6 volunteers, again, lead the different activities for the community. So the astronomies, the traveling star show, and others. AC tennis. So tennis has actually been kind of the hidden gem or the most attracted thing that we've had kind of during the pandemic. We've been at 100% full capacity with tennis throughout the pandemic. So recently we actually opened up our group tennis lessons again, which is great because we're doing private lessons. So we're now doing the group lessons on top of extending the private lessons to Tuesdays and Thursdays that we did in the summer. So we had 36 hours of tennis lessons that were offered, which is awesome. And yeah, we've just been kind of continuing with our tennis program. We did get a very generous donation, which is a new tennis ball machine. So it's the machine that shoots out the balls. So our tennis instructor absolutely loved that, and he's been using that recently. I love this picture too. This kid is getting that ball. It's like all in the air and everything. Love it. Okay, and I believe this is the last one. So this is the We Heart Everyone. I don't know if I shared this with you guys yet, but this is the diversity drive-through that we have, the We Heart Everyone. So we had a couple of partnerships here. We had 47 vehicles come through for the drive-through, 85 individuals. We had, we're kind of celebrating 4 different things within the drive-through. And we also had 2 additional organizations participate, which was awesome. So we had Jam and Philams, which was great, always bringing joy to everyone. And then we had the American Canyon Arts Foundation that handed out some Valentine's Day card kits. We handed out some Lunar New Year envelopes and then some Black History Month bookmarks. So all great things celebrating our diversity in American Canyon. Okay, and that is it.
Okay. That's great. Alana, thank you very much. I'm just kind of personally amazed because that's 8 months worth of snapshots. All during COVID time. Well, so so now we'll open it up for commissioner questions. And any of our commissioners have questions for Alana? And also just a recap, I'm not gonna call on commissioners individually. Feel free to share your questions. I'll step in if there's multiple questioning going on.
Yeah, Commissioner Einberger.
Yeah. Excuse me. I just think it's amazing, all the things that you have going, even during COVID. So no questions really, just again, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm assuming that we can do comments as well, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. So thanks for all the fun activities that you provided. You sure, even though the staff had to do a lot of work with the community outreach, doing the food drives and vaccinations and etc., you still managed to, were able to create fun activities. So the 4th of July, at the 4th of July fireworks, I actually met folks from Sonoma, Marine, Berkeley, and Napa, just to name a few. And so that was pretty incredible to hear that they drove so far just to see the fireworks. I was told that it was going to be really a smaller scale fireworks, but it really wasn't that spectacular. So I think somebody misinformed us and they wanted to give us a big surprise. It was so much fun. We actually got there and went to somebody's driveway to get a good spot because it was pretty full and fun. In regards to the tennis, we're so excited. Tennis is has been back. We did that during the we're still in the pandemic actually, but last year and coach I forgot his name.
Danny Thrower.
Coach Danny. It's really fun to. He's a really fun coach. But that brings me back to a question that I've had many times, and probably the director is sick of me asking. But when are the Melvin tennis courts going to be resurfaced? I think they really need some tender care at Melvin. They do get used, and the plus that we have there is that there are actually two pool tennis courts as opposed to just one at Elliott, the Elliott Park. So thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
And I can just address quickly the question. The Melvin tennis courts have no schedule at this point. It's not in the budget to be done at this point.
When can we put them on the budget?
We can attempt to get it into the next fiscal year's budget cycle, which would begin in roughly January.
Okay, let's follow up on that then. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an item we can put on the agenda for future consideration. Melvin tennis courts. Okay, so I in my comments, I usually go last, so I just wanted to make sure that my fellow commissioners also had their chance to say stuff if they wanted to. Okay, so so first of all, wonderful snapshot, Alana. It really goes to show that over the past 9 months during one of our toughest times in this city's history, in fact, the world's history, we did a lot. We did a lot to bring this community together. My takeaway from a lot of that was how we strengthen the partnerships with the various nonprofits and groups in this community. So, I mean, definitely stuff to be proud of. With our summer kind of culminating in the 4th of July, which was incredible and frankly a point of pride for this city that we were able to have a nice time out there, and fireworks and music and just a for a while. We had a bit of normalcy there, and it was just a huge morale booster. So just, you know, I hope you know already, I'm very, very proud of our department. And also just personal notes, S'mores and Meteors, really got the chance to go off, do stuff like I've never done before, even though I've gone to that event. But I've never had a chance to go see the, look through the telescopes, and that was very amazing and educational. So, well, yeah, that's it. Great work. Looking forward to more, and as we continue to adapt to, you know, our circumstances. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks.
Great. Okay, good. So we'll move on to the second business item, aquatics program report for spring and summer 2021. Jody, I guess, well, maybe, yes, Jody, all yours. Oh,
Thank you. I don't know that you need to share the screen, Liz. I'm just going to talk through my report a little bit. I don't know if the group has a choice whether they follow along with me or not, or if you've got it in front of you.
I'll go ahead and share it.
You know, I got to say, coming off of rec and those snapshots, I think two things. I've got to be much better at taking pictures because it really shares such a good story when you get to see kids in action and all of that kind of stuff. Liz, I'm not going to do the snapshot first. I'm going to talk through my spring and summer reports before I show that. But and secondly, as a peer of Alana's, you know, it was pretty amazing to watch that group go through this transformation of trying to adapt and become a community service department. Was pretty impressive to watch. So for aquatics, you know, during the spring, we pretty much maintained everything that we had done from the get-go of reopening as far as COVID related and programming. But we were lucky to start to see some increase in swim lesson attendance. You know, we were still under the kind of guide of teachers out of the water. So I don't know if I can see that. Can you zoom in just a little bit? I'm sorry. And, you know, we were struggling with the lower classes of parents not wanting to necessarily get in the water with their kids. If they had a 5-year-old, anywhere from 3 to 12, and they were a beginning swimmer, a parent had to be in the water with them if they really did not know how to swim, as we had teachers on the deck. But as we moved through the spring, we got more enrollment, and the parent surveys were still, you know, really, really high. People just had gratitude for us being open. The water aerobics classes continued to be at capacity. You know, we had 180 people sign up. A lot of those duplicated, but we were full at 60 registrations per month, which, you know, is a record for the facility, which was great. Lap swim, you know, we continued to have swimmers really interested. We had a lot of teens swimming with us in the spring because they weren't swimming at the high school. So a lot of kids and who were also distance learning or had split schedules would still come and swim at noon with us, which was great. And, you know, we were able to continue our partnerships with AHI for the after school program, and SASO came in to continue, and SASO ran a little bit longer than they were anticipating, but they couldn't get full-time anywhere else. So we helped kind of extend their season a little bit later into the spring than we had kind of originally talked and worked with AHI on, but everybody kind of played really well in the sandbox and were able to, work really well together as a group. And they all managed their own COVID policies and stuff really well. So it was really just great partnerships that we were able to have people in our facility, and they helped keep kind of our standard. We were finally able to kind of hire our first set of staff from the original onboarding when we opened. So we ran a lifeguard class last summer, and those people were sort of in the waiting room until we were given the okay from HR to bring them on. So we were able to bring 5 people from that staff. And our retention throughout the school year and stuff was really high. It was great. No real issues with the facility. No changes that really stood out just as we were trying to manage COVID and little things that came up. You know, we ended up putting up hooks everywhere for people to hang towels because we were no longer using the locker rooms. And so people seem to appreciate that. I'm going to go through summer too, and then we can take comments. Graydon, or do you want me to pause here at spring?
No, let's go through the whole thing.
Okay. For summer, you know, we were really, really encouraged. I remember in that April or May PCF meeting saying, I am going to go full throttle and I'm ready to go. And as we opened, things became a little bit more grim as we went through summer, and we had to kind of stay, not status quo, but we stayed with some capacity limitations, and we still had one-way traffic, and we still had some masking indoors, and we still had the locker rooms closed. So it wasn't quite as big of a summer as we were hoping for, but COVID-wise, you know, we were also struggling as a staff, and we still struggle as being a facility that's open for the city. We still are under the same kind of guidance for staffing as we were since the pandemic began. So we still have some limitations with how we move about the facility and how we operate that are even though we're outdoor, you know, it still has some limitations. But programming, you know, we had a great increase, for swim lessons. We got back up to almost full. A lot of our classes were full. Some of those younger kid classes even filled up for the summer, which was great. And the parents who ended up taking that class had a real appreciation for what we do, I think, because they just saw that their kids can sometimes be really difficult to work with, and trying to get them to swim is not an easy task. And so we were able to kind of have this support from the parents that came that were like, yeah, we got you. This isn't easy. So they were really appreciative that we were there. We put teachers in the water for the first 2 weeks of summer, and we quickly pulled them back out as the Delta variant became something that was just more concerning. We still had really good communication from parents about our surveys and how they just were. It changed from a little bit less of the like, you know, thank God you guys are here and we're so happy you're just open, to like, hey, my kid's learning to swim, thank you. So it really was able to focus a little bit more programmatically on the program from the surveys versus, I think, for the previous year, people were just really thankful that we were open and that they had a place to come and that their kids could swim. Water aerobics remained full all summer. Lap swimming remained pretty solid. Again, the evening time has been the most popular. We've had about half capacity for the noon time. None of the high school kids really came back over the summer, as they either joined clubs or they just, he started, or, you know, they just had other kind of options. We were excited to run a junior guard class. That's a snapshot that's attached to this report that you guys can check out. But we had 12 kids come in. It was a great group of kids, often teenagers in the middle of summer. It's hit or miss, but we had wonderful kids. They all received certifications in CPR and AED, which they can take with them as they move through babysitting and just whatever they want to do, or as they prepare to become a lifeguard. We kind of had a last-minute lifeguard class that we ran as we were trying to kind of look ahead at some potential fall shortage of staffing. We had 7 people complete the course. They, again, were really, really great. You know, following COVID guidelines, again, for first responders and stuff like that's not easy, but our instructors did a really great job. AHI was able to get the high school, which was great, so they did not need us at all. And I don't say that I'm happy they didn't need us, but I am happy that they didn't need us, because that means that they had some normalcy, you know, that they were able to get access and really run the amount of kids that they wanted, and they had the lane space and the pool space to kind of be able to be sustainable. And Sasso continued to offer some programs with us as well. The water carnival, of course, we hadn't even planned to do it. You know, just a big public event we weren't prepared for. At least I was not, as we were getting, you know, when we had to have this stuff done in February. But our staffing throughout the summer was great. Retention was high. I think, you know, the main feedback from staff for the last 6 months, their only issue has just been the amount of hours. You know, we're running at a lower capacity than we typically would. And my biggest thing that I have to usually deal with all summer for staff is trying to keep their morale high, dealing with open swims, because when you typically have 75 to 100 people and it's kids and families and camps, no one wants to work those shifts. It's the most stressful time to be a lifeguard. That's when people potentially are drown, and that's our highest risk. And we had a really light open swim, and people were kind of like, I think, a little bored that they didn't have that kind of bigger, you know, there wasn't a true, you know, some of those rookies that have not had a true lifeguard experience yet because they just haven't had that really high pressure situation. So trying to maintain their hours and morale and stuff was great. We had an end-of-year barbecue, which was wonderful. We do something that I just wanted to point out for facility-wise. We, during one of our inspections of our lifeguards lift, the ADA lift has just eroded and corroded enough to where it's no longer operable. We tried multiple companies to come and try and restore it and repair it. It's just not going to be cost effective to do it versus just trying to buy a new one. As the codes have changed since that one was bought, they're now required to be actually physically anchored onto the pool deck. So trying to find one that works for our decking, our gutters, and that has been the next kind of significant challenge. In the 4 years that I've been supervising this department, we've had no one ask to use the lift, no one even attempt to use the lift. But the second it broke, I had multiple people come into the facility looking to use it. And I was really disappointed that that was the timing of it all. But me and the, you know, Parks and Rec supervisor, Brian, are working out solutions. We should have one installed in the next, you know, month, I would say. Yeah, that's kind of it. I'm definitely open to questions and feedback. You know, that junior guard training was really fun. I would say that was one of the highlights of the summer.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jody. Yes, at this point, we'll just open it up for commissioner questions and comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramrill. I have comments and questions. I would just like to say, first of all, thank you to Jody for keeping the pool open and for continuing your partnership with AHI. My daughter is an avid swimmer. She swims, you know, she took all the lessons through the city, all the way up to Dolphins, and she's been in AHI since she was 8. And she's right there in that picture in the lower left, sitting on the sidewalk with her certificate from her junior lifeguarding class, which she absolutely loved and had a wonderful time doing. And it was great that she just had something to do this summer to keep her active and outdoors that she is passionate about. So thank you very much for that. And I love to see programs continue to expand at the pool. I am a proponent of that. And then my question would be, my daughter also goes to River Middle School and they are doing PE and their gym lockers are open. And it's my understanding that the gym lockers are also open at the high school pool. And I'm wondering when we can reopen the lockers at the city pool so that we are consistent and giving everyone a place to change. There's no longer distancing recommendations for kids at the school, so it's just the masking. So I'm wondering if that is a possibility to move to at our city pool.
Yeah, I think we have just been like a little on pins and needles waiting to see if there was going to be some update of something that was going to reverse I think now that we've seen the schools do what they're gonna do, it'll be on the next agenda for me and Creighton to try and process what that's gonna be like. I think, again, it's just the kind of direction that we've been given or I've been given is to kind of maintain, you know, both from a staffing perspective, and I've pushed the boundaries on some capacity and outdoor masking and things that I didn't really kind of, I've just followed the guidance versus what we've been asked to do as staff. So I'm kind of tiptoeing that line. I think as far as the students and the gyms go, I'm more worried about really the senior population, and I just want to make sure that before we stuff those locker rooms full of seniors, that it's just the right move.
Yeah, I understand the cautiousness. There could be capacity limitations, form a line outside, masking while they're inside. If you need to have distancing with the older population, I just think with.
Yeah, I also haven't gotten any feedback to open it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
I think there hasn't been a ton of pressure for me to have to force people to line up and like capacity. Everyone has sort of just gotten into the groove and they come to dry and leave wet. And so far it's okay. I definitely would love a solution before winter, or before the
Right.
weather really changes. I think that's really my timeline.
Yeah, I would agree. Before the winter, it would be great to have a place for people to get fully dry before they're
Yeah.
walking through the parking lot and out to their car. So
Definitely.
I will look forward to that, even though people seem to be, making adjustments. It's good to, to sort of follow the line as far as what other organizations, groups, and big things like NVUSD are doing.
Yeah, you guys should tell City Council that, City Hall that too.
Well, I wish I'd have talked to you before the meeting the other night.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh my God, don't do that.
Oh, I will. I will. Thanks, Jody.
Hi, Jody. Thank you. I'm happy that the pool's been open and everything that it offers. My question's about Open Swim. I know that I've heard different people in the community say how challenging it is because they have to sign up in advance, and then you go on the website and you have to scroll through all these pages and select it and know that you want to do it, and then that has been pretty cumbersome, I think, and turned people off as opposed to spur of the moment. And I know it was originally set up because you had capacity issues. Do you think that's why it was such a low percentage of I don't know how to say it, but anyway, a lot of people coming, canceled open swims and such like that.
Yeah, I think, as we look to probably mitigate our rec software, I think we'll potentially have some more options in the spring to look at like our software usage, because right now it's really poor. Plus the teenagers handling the money and the cash from that. It's been a challenge to have really good protocol and get them to follow it. So the idea of like not having them do it is really important. I mean, not really important, but it's been very beneficial. So I think it's just been a slew of things, but I'm confident that once we get this new rec software, hopefully there'll be a way for us to have a little bit better customer service with things that are drop in.
Yeah, no, and I get the not handling of the money. I think that's very helpful. I'm wondering if there might be a way to have a walk-in.
It was also open. It was also open until like 15 minutes before the time. So if somebody really wanted to come, they could have just gone online and done it. I mean, and if you've ever tried it for Open Swim, it's relatively user-friendly. I think if you go into the ActiveNet back door or just go through ActiveNet, yes, you have to keyword search. It brings up everything. But from our website, you can go click on Open Swim and it'll pull you straight into the current Open Swims. But
yeah, I know when I was poking around, I just was like, okay, well, not that I wanted to go swim, but it did look like not very user friendly and a bit of a mess. But would there be a possibility of having, if people just wanted to walk in and you weren't going to have anyone handling money, that they just did some sort of a kiosk computer sign up right there? I mean, not that you just putting that out there. If there's something that can allow people to still walk in and then take away the cash handling or money handling and be like an independent little station. I don't even know what that would look like or if that's a possibility, but
I'm sure. I have not pressed Liz on top of the 1,000 other things going on to deal with trying to get us a terminal and trying to get us set up to be that. But I think again in the spring, once we get our feet wet in this new software, it's a little bit more. Even the integration into the website, the APIs are much smoother and cleaner. So I think we'll have more options.
sounds good. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
realize it. This, I know the open swim season's over, but I was hoping, I know it's something that's always been really well attended. And I'd hate for the website and signing up to keep people away.
And we were also only residents. I think that was a huge
And
piece.
that was, yeah, I know that was a public comment. So that was just for residents. So would that potentially change in the future if there's not limitations on capacity?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thank
Yeah, the
you.
original feedback from the health director was like, keep as much as you can resident,
Right.
and so the open swim, I think we've never been able to see how many was resident or non-resident really when they were just doing drop-ins. So it's a culmination of the drop-in and signing up online plus being non-resident. So next spring and summer will be when we really have to evaluate what is successful. How do we change it?
Sounds good. Thank you. And thank you. I'm glad the pool's open.
Yeah, thanks to the Margalotti kids, they ran the show half the time. So
Thank you. Thank you for the employment opportunities.
great.
So
you're gonna have to
thank
have
you.
another one. I need a fourth one. Sorry.
Oh, no, thank you. They can grow up and have children and pass them on to you.
The Griggs are next. then.
Evangeline wants to know why she can't lifeguard now. She's taking the junior lifeguarding class. This is the logic of a 12-year-old mom. I took the class, I passed, I can do CPR. Why do I have to wait 3 more years to lifeguard? She's ready, but she's, time.
Got it.
So thank you so much, but I also want to echo what Commissioner Margolotti said. I actually went into the system and I could not get anywhere. I was trying to take my son and my nieces and nephew to open swim. I was not successful, so we ended up going somewhere else. But it was very hard to get in. And then I was told that because my nieces and nephew did not live here with me, I couldn't take him. And so it was kind of frustrating. So if we can get something that is user-friendly and that, you say that it was open until 15 minutes, but, I went the day before and, trying to do something fun for my family and wasn't able to do it. So it was kind of disappointing, but thanks for everything else that you do.
And Jody, just a point of clarification for me, are the policy on open swim regarding residents only, that's posted, I assume that's posted on the site, or I'm just wondering how that's communicated.
Yeah, I think there's some confusion because on the landing page of Aquatics, it shows multiple registration dates, like everything might be an option, but once you get into it, it's got a header within a program that says it's resident only. We just try to choose the 2 most popular programs, Swim Lessons and Open Swim, to try and keep the level of service strictly to residents.
Right. So, okay, thank you for that clarification.
I am curious why it's residents only.
Again, from the start of the pandemic, that was the goal, was if we're going to have limited capacity, was to keep it to residents. Plus the bulk of things like lap swim and open swim were already a lot of non-residents. So we would have probably had quite a few angry people who could not have continued with those programs if we couldn't. And we didn't fill up with those yet until later in the summer, or later in that spring. And so again, there's not been a ton of direction or need for us to open more. I mean,
Because when my daughter was taking the junior lifeguarding class, there was the Thursday opportunities to volunteer alongside a lifeguard, which she was super excited about. But I got texts on those Thursdays that said, "Come get me now, open swim is canceled." And when I picked her up, I said, "Why is open swim canceled?" And she said, "Because no one signed up, so there's no open swim." So I'm just, if we're keeping it residents only, and then we don't have anyone signing up and we're canceling open swim and sending lifeguards home early, then doesn't it warrant looking at opening it back up to everyone, including non-residents? And about the cash, I think that can be solved with hand sanitizer, honestly.
No, it's not about the cash handling. It's about them literally being in charge of money.
Oh.
Like being responsible for cash.
You don't have someone there 18? Isn't that just, don't they just have to be 18
Not always.
to hand them that responsibility? Okay,
Not
well,
always.
that
So-
seems
so
like
it's-
a barrier.
It's not something that we shouldn't be able to solve. But again, I think the open swim, it just wasn't a priority to mess with the non-residents.
Well,
And that goes across our whole programming. Again, it came back from early in the pandemic to focus on residents as much as possible. And through this summer, we haven't changed that stance. If we start seeing some loosening, I should say some of the statistics start improving with Delta and so on, that might be something that is loosened as we move forward, but that's been our approach programmatically wide.
So I want to add to what Commissioner Briggs is saying, and then I'm also confused. I agree with everything she said, but I'm very confused because on your report you said that the guards were bored. So, and then Commissioner Briggs is saying that open swim was canceled. So you're
No,
telling me
I'm not
what
really.
you're doing?
I'm not really. The open swim, opening it up to residents or non-residents was not a priority. So we canceled it when we could, because you got to remember that opening up to non-residents, it also meant that getting admin involved, because a lot of people are going to have to create accounts, and then they can't also have an account and sign up for an open swim. They have to wait probably 24 hours for it to get approved. Plus, we went through trying to open it, and we talked to comms, and this idea of like, okay, well, if we're going to do it, we got to do it right, and we got to push it and push it out. And there wasn't necessarily the bandwidth to go through this kind of rebirth of open swim to try and pivot to now make it popular. There just wasn't the drive or the motivation to do it. So could we have filled them? Sure. It wasn't like it was like, well, they're half full and we should drive them more. It was like zero. Like 90% of the spots weren't taken. And so to really grind that to then make it viable for non-residents, it wasn't the priority for the summer.
And to add to that, we don't have a real big non-resident push for open swim. Where we get non-resident and open swim is when large groups come from out of the community to use the pool. And that's what really makes up the majority of our open swim base. This was by far the lowest attended open swim in my time, and I think it maybe has been in history. I do have to also add that we also have to factor in weather into this mix. We did have some hot days, but for the most part, the summer was relatively cool. So, folks don't oftentimes want to go swimming, especially in our pool when it's cool, because we got that really nice westerly breeze that comes through in the afternoon and makes it cold.
Great, and I just wanted to also add, normally we actually have camp kids that take up a lot of the pool for open swim, as well as the Boys and Girls Club camps. They've usually gone to open swim a couple of days as well. So that definitely contributes to.
Yeah, that could be 50 of the people easily
Right,
each
yeah.
open swim.
Okay, so how long was your open swim? I quite remember it was just 1 hour. It was only open for an hour, right? So that could be also a factor. Who wants to just go for 1 hour and then leave?
But we
So,
also had to be cost effective per council. So it was like, the more I increase the time for people to come swim, the less I bring in per hour, but it still costs me the same amount for staff. So we ran everything like it was 45-minute water aerobics because that's what it cost, and that was cost efficient, and for us to be net neutral. And so we've been given pretty much the same money for this year, and so I have had to kind of stay the same with some of those things. And I don't want to be argumentative. I agree. The second I can open it up to non-residents, I don't want to sit the pool empty. You know, the locker rooms and non-residents are going to be the two top priorities for to moving forward.
So what I'm taking away from this conversation is that the commission feels like open swim, especially in summer, is really important. We have to figure out how to keep it going. So that's certainly what our stance and our feeling is as well. We will, as we move into next summer, you know, COVID being the mitigating factor, we're going to do what we can to bring back open swim to something that's an opportunity, a vibrant opportunity for the community that's easy and convenient for them to register or attend. We'll take register out of it. Just attend. We'll figure out a way to do it that's easier than it's been this year.
Can I add
Yeah,
one more
definitely.
thing? I know cost recovery has been something that's been the discussion, which we haven't circled back to yet. And I know when we were doing that process, we talked about which programs you might subsidize versus what you would charge for. So maybe, and I don't know what the result is or would be, but that open swim would be one of those things that you wouldn't be having to charge the full cost for the people who are attending because you're subsidizing that partially. So I'm not sure where that will go, but maybe that will come out in the future as well, so that more hours can be open for people to attend.
Yeah, Commissioner Margolotti, that is an excellent point that we would have talked about next Tuesday. But our meeting has been postponed or rescheduled, so we will have that conversation soon enough. But that is an excellent point. The information that we'll share when we have the joint meeting with council is going to be a little bit higher level than that, but we can certainly take questions and make take some comments from the commissioners on decision points such as that. Where does open swim fall in the bigger picture, and what that cost recovery looks like?
And to be clear,
Excellent
this
point.
is not the summer that we wanted. I mean, this is not a fun place to work when it's empty. So I'm on board with trying to make it more accessible and to try and grow it.
Thank you, Jody.
Great. Okay, well, I think, well, seeing no other questions, thank you very much, Jody. We'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is administrative and customer service report.
Share my screen here. See if this is a little bit better. Oops. Alana, do you still have the agenda up by chance?
I do, yeah, give me one second.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to just run through a couple updates with admin. First off, thank you so much for everyone completing the doodle poll that I sent out today about our November alternate meeting. We had everyone complete the doodle poll, and it looks like Tuesday, November 9th works for everybody. So we'll go ahead and move forward with that date. So again, thank you for being so responsive. That's really helpful to get that meeting calendared and resolved. So quickly, I'm going to go through just some updates on what has been going on the last 30 days and kind of things that we're still dealing with currently. So recreation and aquatics, as we just covered, we wrapped up summer programming, which consisted of June, July, and August. We had roughly about 1,200 registrations over that period for different classes and programming. Our fall programming just opened here August 18th for residents, and then we're going back to our typical model of having non-residents register 1 week after our registration opens, and that just kind of gives our own residents priority to kind of get in there, poke around, get that first dibs on classes and whatnot. So our fall programming does consist of September, October, November, and December. So that is ongoing. Park and facility rentals, we are still just offering currently park rentals. We've had almost 100 rentals this summer. We have a steady flow of interest for October. So it does continue, and we do have actually some reservation requests for November also. So we will continue to accept those, weather permitting. Right now, we do not have a firm date to open our facilities. Most likely it'll be a tiered approach, with probably allowing our sports groups to return first, renting out our gym, whatnot, and then moving back into facility rentals for our actual community members. There will be some different things that we will have to introduce that will be COVID compliant. So, you know, still kind of figuring out where we are with Delta and the different evolving situation with that. We are, it's an ongoing process. So probably won't be until first part of next year is when we'll fully be ready to reopen our facilities. Administrative staffing challenges. This has been just our Achilles heel this whole summer. We've really have suffered here. We used to have like probably a team close to 10, especially in the summertime with OAs and clerks. And at times there's just been one full-time staff working in the admin division. So we have definitely faced some challenges. We are, our office assistant recruitment is ongoing. We found a really amazing person that we have a conditional offer out to and is currently going through the HR onboarding process. She is an American Canyon resident. She has children that have participated in our program, and she's really has this awesome community spirit that she was really distributing. So we're really excited to have her come on. We also had 2 former office assistants return. One will be working at our senior center, and the other one will be assisting in the City Hall office. So we do have one more round of interviews we'll be conducting next week. We're hoping to get 3 out of that interview process, but if we can't, then we might have to look at reopening another recruitment. So it's been challenging. We've had some candidates that we were looking at take other job offers. Some just, it wasn't a good fit. Full-time work is always more appealing over than part-time. Part-time tends to be for a very specialized group that is interested. So those are some of the challenges we're working through. So we are kind of shuffling workloads, continue to evaluate how we best can serve the community at this point. But I do feel like we are finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and moving in the right direction. So we are excited about that. My last update is our transition to Civic Rec. I think Jody mentioned that we are pretty hopeful, you know, that this will be implemented. Our target date is the 1st of the year. So we are working with that group right now to transfer over our existing data to the new registration software, Civic Rec. They are setting up our modules and our programming. So we are working with that group. Civic Rec is used by many cities in our area. So we are very hopeful that this will be a lot more user-friendly internally and externally. So it will be, I think, a really nice change. It also has a whole facilities element that ActiveNet does not offer currently. So that'll be really great to kind of bring that part in to make renting facilities in the city a little bit more user-friendly. So those are my updates. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
So I see and I heard in your report that it looks like we are not going to be reopening for indoor rentals, which would include the senior center and the community center gym until the first part of next year. And I'm just wondering what the thinking is there and why we cannot reopen for indoor rentals. I spoke with the Napa Parks and Rec today, and all of their indoor facilities are fully open for rentals. There are no capacity restrictions of any kind other than what they were before, and it is on the organization who is renting to decide if they're going to ask for vaccine cards, ask for a negative COVID test before they let people in. If they're going to limit the capacity, obviously they have to meet capacity restrictions for state of California guidelines. So wherever we're at with that now, 50 or 70% or whatever, and obviously masking indoors because that's a state mandate. But I'm just wondering why we cannot open for indoor rentals and follow what the rest of Napa County is doing. We're in the same county. Things have been closed for a long time. We only have 2 indoor facilities to rent. And I don't think there's a lot of city liability associated with it. You're getting the insurance policy from the renter, and then putting the onus on them if there were to be some sort of surge from a community event that, you know, the city's not doing anything by allowing the rental. So I'm just wondering what's going on there and why we can't move forward with that yet.
Sure. So there's a lot of different components with it, and it's not solely COVID that is the holdup. And just to clarify, we are hoping that we can reopen our facilities for our community groups that would like to use our sports groups, probably closer to mid-November to December, but there is some factors that we have to consider. Some of those are being, I'm not quite familiar with Napa, but in our previous module, our model that when we had facility rentals, we had what was called building monitors. They're typically high school kids. And we, going through the fee philosophy, process, we have identified that that is not the best practice. In the past, we would have renters hire their own security, and we have realized through that process that the security isn't really looking out for the liability of the city. They're really working for the renter because that's who is paying them. So with that, we've had some building monitors that, again, are high school students for the most part, being put in some pretty uncomfortable positions. Now that we have COVID, there's going to be some mandates and some things such as masking and people and all those different things. And we don't feel it's appropriate to have those kids in that situation. So one thing that we are working on right now is identifying and having a security company that will contract with the city and be there and let the facility monitors, the building monitors really just be that, where they're opening and closing and not really policing these events. So we're not ready to move fully with that, but it's something that we are working on. The other thing is previously with our facilities rentals, we would have our renters clean the buildings after their rentals. And again, going through the fee philosophy process and looking at what other cities are doing, it's not really best practices, especially now that we're in a COVID environment, to rely on and put the responsibility on the renter to fully clean the building before and after. And the building monitor would be the one that's sitting there with the checklist, again, a high school student. It's just not great practices. So those things that we are all at this point, because our buildings have been closed and because this conversation has been going on close to probably, for a while now, we've been exploring this, and we've been really waiting for our fee philosophy too, to know that where we're going to go with our fees and structure and adding these things such as security and actually having our janitorial service, clean up after facilities. All of those things now are a factor. And we're pretty much, if we're going to reopen and have all these things that we know we should be implementing, that would be the best time. So it's not really just reopening our facilities. It's taking all these other factors that we know should be kind of transitioned and, improved, and really doing it right, because we have this opportunity to do that. So ideally we would like, to have the facilities open as soon as possible, but we want to make sure that our staff is safe, our community is safe, and that we can do it in the best, like, manageable way. So again, I think the first of the year is our target date. Delta was a big curveball. So we haven't had a lot of requests, to be honest, either, for facility rentals. We probably have had 4 over the whole entire summer. So, and we are tracking those. And I would say 2 of those were sports groups. So, we continue to monitor it. We have seen a flex with our park rentals. People are canceling, and that's an outdoor area that they are canceling because of COVID concerns. So we don't feel at this point that we have like people banging down the door wanting to get back in the facilities. But we are definitely moving towards opening them and doing everything we can to kind of open it in the capacity that will serve the community the best.
And I will add just one more point onto what Liz said. She mentioned hiring issues that we have and capacity. The number one thing that Liz's team takes the most time to do is a building rental. It takes on average about 2 hours to go through, for one staff member, to go through beginning to end a building rental process. And with the fact that we've been short-staffed and have struggled to bring people on to fill those spots, even if we had it, I don't know that we could realistically take rentals right now because we just don't have the staff on payroll in order to do it.
Well, thank you, Liz, and thank you, Director Wright, for the information. That is very good to know. And I think it is good to take this opportunity to correct those, maybe not best practices that were happening previously. It's good to take our opportunities and sort of correct those things and get on a better track. I agree. The high school students, that was a big job that they had, being the building monitors. And late at night, and it's dark out there, and the garbage is far. And especially if you're having a fundraiser where you're serving alcohol, I'm sure that, you, as a building monitor, you cannot get paid enough to deal with people at the end of a fundraiser, for sure. And the security piece as well. I think that a lot of community organizations would think that it was fabulous if security was included. The city's going to have to be careful about the price point then, and who they're giving discounts to, because right now it's pretty strict as to who gets a discount. Even if you're a nonprofit, you have to meet a certain percentage threshold for benefit to the community. So I think that that probably should be evaluated as part of this process as well. And the cleaning, another thing, great. As someone who has taken their personal Febreze mopper to the gym to mop the stage at the end of an event, I would be so happy if cleaners showed up and I could just go home at the end of being on my feet for 16 hours. That would be absolutely fabulous. So I think all of those things are really good. I hear over and over and over again from all of these reports that we really have a staffing crisis. I don't know how to fix that, but I think that that needs to sort of be the absolute priority right now, is getting staff so that then we can get these programs back up and running, so we can get our indoor facility rentals back up. And I do think that there is a need and a desire. I think that you're not getting any applications because the entire city knows that you're closed. They know that it's not open for rentals at this time. So no one's submitting applications. And I think that they know that the application process and the building rental and the park rentals are difficult. And they know that there are staffing challenges because there has been difficulty with rentals. Two that I have known of and been personally involved with. One, that it was misunderstood that the application was asking the city to run a program instead of the applicant requesting to run a free program and just use the grass. And they were not actually approved until less than 20 days before their event, which really limited the amount of time that they could promote their event. And it was a really great free community event. It just shouldn't have been that difficult. And then another.
I'm unclear which one that was, Gina.
That was the self-defense, free self-defense seminar in the park.
that was, we could probably talk offline if you would like to, but there was definitely some challenges with that. That was not, and that was a rental. It was a nonprofit, but it was a rental.
Right, correct. And then there was Ahi, the day of the barbecue. I was walking my dog through Silver Oak Park and saw that the picnic area was clearly set up for a baby shower. And so I proceeded to call the president of Ahi and say, hey, the barbecue's today, right? Because it doesn't look like this baby shower is going to be out of here. And she said, no, they're not. And we got moved. And so with less than 2 hours notice, they had to try and figure out how to notify 200 swimmers and their families that the location had been moved from Silver Oak Park to the small picnic area at Shenandoah, which did not really accommodate all the people that attend that end of season barbecue. So I know that there are lots of challenges, but community members do want to have events, and they do want to do rentals, and they do want to get back to their indoor fundraisers. So I think it's good that we're working on that. And I would encourage us to just fix our staffing problem so that then we can get those things taken care of, get back to business.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Can people walk in yet, or is the city hall still closed?
City Hall is still closed at this time, Kathy, so we're doing everything virtually. All of our services have moved online, so you can do a complete park rental or registration. And we are assisting over the telephone also if people do run into issues as far as with registrations or reservations.
Right. Is there, and I know this isn't you, but what is the plan for reopening City Hall? I'm open at school with millions of unvaccinated children. So what's the plan for opening up City Hall?
There is no current plan at this point. Waiting on council meeting. Our first council meeting will be our deciding factor to open City Hall back up. Some of the other tenants in the building are open for appointment only, but the building does remain closed.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, commissioners, for the questions. Are any further questions on this item? Okay, well, seeing none, thank you, everyone, and we'll move to business item number 4, Recreation Division Report.
We invite a special guest. She's going to be talking kind of midway through my report.
Okay.
Okay, so recreation, let's see. So ongoing programming. Like I said, like I shared with you, tennis lessons have been continuing, and we've started up our group tennis lessons again to be able to fit that need, because we were seeing 100% capacity filling up for those private tennis lessons. So just expanding tennis to the community as much as we can. All City Dance continues. They did open a new class for the fall called Palm Dance. It's like a cheer dance class, which is now running. This is the first month for September. Line dancing is continuing, although they have switched their Tuesdays to Thursdays to be in the gym from September through December. Open gym badminton takes place on Sundays, and again has been having that great attendance that we've been seeing. We've been able to expand the capacity in the gym, so we are seeing more people participate in that. And then we had our mixed combative self-defense class start in July. That continues. Our senior center, the big news there is we are finalizing our reopening, kind of waiting on a health permit from the county, and then we can open up. So we are getting really close to being able to kind of do a soft open of the senior center, and then work towards gradually getting back to where we used to be, while also being COVID safe, especially with that sensitive population, which is our seniors. So we are, getting close to our senior center reopening. Serotimus, they continue to do the bingo nights, which are really well attended. They have stopped doing the live music nights, and I'm sure Commissioner Ivory could speak to that. But the bingo nights I've been attending with Vince, and my grandma's very lucky apparently. But everyone has a lot of fun, and I think you guys are averaging like 20 people per night, which is great. Okay. So those are the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. So new for fall and winter, we have open gym is back. So we have open gym basketball and volleyball. Open gym is on Tuesday nights and volleyball is back on Monday nights. You do have to pre-register. So we are going to be pushing that pretty heavily here in October because I don't recall seeing a whole lot of registration for September. So October will be the month we're going to be pushing open gym. We have had our old participants list and emailing them to try to get them to sign up because it is different because you can't drop in. You do have to pre-sign up and you sign up for the whole month. Middle school is back in session, so we are starting our after-school sports. So we have basketball, and that's starting next week. So that's a really interesting and fun. First up is the boys, and then after that is the girls. I did check registration today, and we are pretty close to full. I think there's like 6 or 7 more spots in each grade, but they definitely have enough to run the program, so they will be starting that next week. Our winter basketball league, this is contracted out to a basketball league to run it. They are doing registration now, but they are going to start the season, so practices and all that will actually start in January. We pushed it back about a month. That way we give parents the holidays to go visit and do whatever they're going to do. We've had some issues with that in the past, so we figured let's start it a little later, and we'll start it in January. We have a new class that is the Super Soccer Stars, and this is at Community Park 2. So that class is starting this Saturday. Amazing athletes. That one didn't have enough registration, so we're not going to offer that in September. But the Super Soccer Stars is starting on Saturday. Pickleball, this has been on the list to have. We are going to have a one-day clinic coming up in November. So this report was actually done a little early, but we had an update. So we're actually going to be running one clinic right now, and it's going to be November 6th. That way we have enough time to advertise it out. September 25th got canceled due to the coach and just us, not being able to get some advertising out and wanting to really push it to the community. So what this is, it's going to be a one-day clinic where they're pretty much introducing what is pickleball. We'd have the courts out there on Elliott at Elliott Park. So really introducing what the sport is. We'll have equipment there for people, and we are partnering with the Napa Valley Pickleball Group to be able to provide that free to American Canyon residents. So it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to that. And then coastal cleanup. So I have my special guest that you guys probably all know and love. So Stacy, if you wouldn't mind sharing coastal cleanup, I will pass the mic.
Hi, everybody. What I would like to talk about a little bit, first of all, I'm super excited that we're going to have some of our awesome commissioners out there helping out as site captains. So we opened up registration a couple of weeks ago, and it is starting to fill up really quickly. I have been going through waivers, and I just opened up my inbox when I got here, and I have a bunch more. So I do anticipate all of our spots are going to be full. We are going to have rec leaders stationed at every park with each commissioner. They're going to be trained on what to do. They're going to have all the supplies ready for you guys. So the main thing is you are going to be awesome facilitators. You're going to have, I anticipate, a full crew at every park. And you're going to have some great help from the recreation leaders. So the best part of the cleanup this year is that one of the main changes that was implemented last year was all of the data recording. So the main part of a coastal cleanup day Number one, of course, like I've said, it's really important to get the garbage cleaned up, but the garbage is going to come back. The main thing is that you guys are encouraging your volunteers to do accurate data reporting. And so now that is done through an app. That is a change that they made last year, and it is going to make the cleanup go very smoothly and very easily for you guys, especially given the fact that many of our volunteers are high school students and they speak in app. That is how they speak. That's how they communicate. They're really good at it. So that is going to make their job easy. Does anybody have any questions about Coastal Cleanup Day? I know I have 3 of you who are going to be out there in the parks working with the rec leaders and kind of leading that group of volunteers.
Stacy, I have a question.
Sure.
Were you going to be sending us a video or something you were supposed to watch in advance?
Yes, so I have links for the training videos that are in the Google Doc. I know some of you guys were having a little bit of trouble getting into the Google Doc, and I'm not sure if that's because I was trying to share it to a non-Gmail account. I've had a little bit of trouble with that in the past. So if you need the links to those videos, I can definitely send those through email for you. They're 2 videos. They're really quick. They're about 5 minutes each, but it really goes into good detail about how to record data and why that data recording is important. So that way, if you guys have volunteers that ask questions about, well, you know, why can't we just throw it in a bag and weigh it? There's reasons behind it. So definitely, I can get those links to the videos too. If you were not able to get into the Google Doc, let me know and I'll send those. Anybody else? Any more questions?
No, none from me. I'm just looking forward to helping out. It's going to be kind of the ruins at the evening pre-party for me.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really, the nice thing about Coastal Cleanup Day is the volunteers are really able to kind of take the lead, and you're there just to kind of, you know, give safety reminders, things like that. But the high schoolers always come in and always do a really great job. And it's good for them. It gives them some community service, and it helps them, you know, make a difference in their world. So thank you guys for committing some time to that. We really appreciate it. And definitely shoot me an email if you have any questions or need anything from me. I'm here to help.
Great. Will do, Stacy. Thank you.
Awesome, Stace, thank you. Okay, so then going kind of back to the rec report, if you guys had any questions about our last 30 or next 30.
Yeah, I have a question about the senior center, the soft opening. At which point will the name change happen?
That is a great question. Creighton, can I toss that one over to you?
So we had the process we need to finish going through, Alana. That was where we were stuck. We needed to take the recommendations to council was our next step.
Yeah, so we will be doing kind of that soft open before we're able to get that name change. And then I would envision after we get council's approval and getting a new sign, and then that would be kind of our grand opening. But soft opening, like I said, I'm kind of just waiting on a health permit right now, and then we want to get people in there. So that I'm looking at happening within the next month, if not definitely October.
Good.
What is it getting changed to?
There's been like 3 variations of the name. I do not remember off the top of my head. I think it's American Canyon
Adult Activity Center.
Adult Activity Center. Yeah.
Okay,
That was
say
a
it
recommendation
again.
from the committee.
Okay, can you say it again, please? You were both of you were talking.
Crane, go ahead.
American Canyon Adult Activity Center.
Thank you. I'm still on comments.
Yes.
Okay. I actually have, mine's a question. What ages is the pickleball clinic open to?
It's going to be all ages, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my comment is also going to be about pickleball. First, thanks. I actually kind of suspected that a clinic at the end of September is too soon, especially with the Delta variant going around. So very much looking forward to it. I've also met folks from the Napa Valley pickleball group, and they say that the coach that's for the clinic is an amazing coach. So just a bit of encouragement. It's been a it's been a long time coming for very understandable reasons, but I know that this is the kind of hot city activity, especially for us older folks, and really look forward to it. And thank you very much. It's great to see the efforts come to fruition. So thank you. So are there any further comments on the Recreation Division report? Okay, well, hearing none, we'll move on to business item 5, the Aquatics Division report.
Yeah, thank you guys again. There's kind of a few overarching themes for the fall that are annual processes and then just trying to kind of emerge from COVID, hopefully. I think, my priorities are the locker rooms, winterizing the facilities, trying to get teachers back in the water, instructors, getting that ADA lift done, focusing, hopefully by the end of the year, partnerships will be all done for spring, including ACMS. We'll have a good idea of what we'll be doing for their PE program. And specifically the next 30 days, it's trying to really evaluate those summer and across all program surveys that we've done and try and dial down, the improvements that we need to make as really around water aerobics and our swim lesson programs. And, what I'm seeing as far as like equipment goes is that what we do with used equipment or shared equipment is we've got the staging area. If you use the kickboard and you're done with it, you go throw it in the staging area, and then at the end or between programs, they all get cleaned and bleached. Well, we're seeing quite a bit of wear show up, and we didn't really see a ton. Everything held up really well this whole year, and then after the summer, it could have just been the increased usage, especially the water aerobics equipment. They're starting to deteriorate. So really trying to inventory what we need. We again have limited resources this year financially, so trying to be tight on what we can and can't do. This ADA lift is really going to take a chunk out of the aquatics, operating supply. So we just have to be really strategic about that. Again, combining from the last meeting too, fall programming has started, which is off to a really good start. We've had a ton of kind of last minute late registrations come in. I think we've probably done 10 or 12 just in the last few days of people trying to get in, which is wonderful. And we will hopefully be doing another lifeguard training by the end of the year, where we've got some lifeguard hiring coming in the next few weeks. And watching COVID and trying to find how we balance what the city's asking staff to do and what the counties says is okay. And now's a really good time to also just focus on our staff training. And we've got some great ideas as we're coming off of these open swims, and kind of like I said, that they didn't have this really live kind of more aggressive summer. We're going to mock some pretty heavy aggression for their trainings coming up, which will be really fun. We're gonna catch them off guard a little bit, I think, which is good for lifeguards. We also were approached by the fire department to do a joint training with them sometime in the future. So I don't think we'll be this big, but I've been at facilities where we went from a drowning all the way to care flights, and you went through the whole step. They actually brought the helicopter in, and so we won't do that with the fire department probably, but trainings that are joint like that are really, really great. So yeah, I'm I'm excited. The kids are all back in school and trying to balance all of their schedule changes and sports and everything is always the first bit of September, trying to get everybody settled. So I am open to any questions or feedback.
I have a question. The training sounds awesome. Sounds super fun. The joint training with the firefighters. I'm wondering if that would be an opportunity for you to bring in your junior lifeguard graduates and have them, I don't know how much participation, but maybe just observe the processes. I don't know if it would be the full day or half day or what, but kind of keeping tabs on that group, you know, until they are old enough to take the lifeguard class, you know, so then they don't lose that interest, so that they still feel interested in wanting to take the lifeguarding class and become your next staff pool.
Yeah, right.
Let me know. I will send my child.
Yeah.
She would love it.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I have a question, Jody. So I know when the pool opened originally and there wasn't that much knowledge about COVID and spread and such, and all the protocols for washing the shared equipment were in place. Is that still, and of course the wear and tear, so now of course you need to replace, but is that still necessary to do between uses with hand sanitizing prior to people touching equipment, and the fact that it's just in the water, and with the spread of on touchable surfaces not being what was maybe once not known in the beginning, and just it being in the chlorine itself? Is that necessary? Is that, I don't even know if that's something you're continuing to do.
I think we've maintained most of it, and again, it's been under the direction of status quo. Maintain what you guys have been doing as a staff member for your areas. I mean, we don't even have in-person meetings with the city, but yet we have to run full facilities. So it's hard to try and walk that tight line sometimes, but I think common sense says no, we shouldn't have to do any of it, but that's just not kind of the reality of running a facility. I think we're not fully sanitizing every surface that is in the area. We've gone down to major equipment, and anything shared we're still kind of doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's actually been a couple of great studies that have come out about swimming and the lack of, there was one across the whole East Coast that had 80 facilities and they couldn't trace one contact that came from a pool. So it's super encouraging, but it's also not, it's not the position I'm in to make those decisions solely.
Oops. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Margolotti. Any questions for, Commissioner questions for, or comments for Jody? Okay, well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jody. Seeing none, we'll move to business item number 6, the subcommittee report.
Alana, thank you for keeping up with the agenda. I appreciate that. I will do a quick overview of our subcommittee. I'm going to focus in on one item towards the end, which will be a little bit of a preview for this group for our planned meeting in October with council and the open space committee. That'll be the general plan, Parks and Rec element. I'll do a little bit more robust update there, but the rest of these, we've not had many of our subcommittees meeting through the summer. The one that has been pretty consistent is our food support group. We don't have any actual commissioners on it, but we do like to keep the commission updated with the status and what's going on with it. We do continue to have regular food distributions in the city that are hosted by a combination of the Food Bank and Harvest Free Will Baptist Church, the American Canyon Emergency Food Pantry hosted by the Kiwanis, and the USDA distribution hosted by the Holy Family Church. So those continue on the regular schedule, second and fourth Tuesday, first Thursday, and third Thursday of the month. Still serving, between 100 and 150 folks at each of those distributions. We have limited the city staff involvement in it. It's mostly being relied upon by the volunteers. On occasion, we do get some questions or requests from the volunteers, and our team, Alana's team, really steps in and helps out when necessary.
Great, and can I add something to this committee? So an update, if you guys have kids, you probably have noticed that the food distribution at Benton on the second and fourth Tuesday was a little chaotic with everyone being back in school. So we're actually planning on moving that distribution, not for the upcoming, the second Tuesday of the month, but for the fourth Tuesday. They're actually going to be at Holy Family Church instead of our Benton or our Aquatics parking lot. So we're working on a flyer to get that in this next distribution. So that'll be kind of the last chaotic one, and they're going to be setting up a little later to kind of avoid that traffic collision. But that's the update there.
Thank you, Alana. Community Events Committee hasn't met through the summer. Senior Planning Committee hasn't met through the summer, and we actually decided to go to quarterly on meetings. The big update I have is for the General Plan Working Group. The group did meet August 19th from 4 to 6 and went through two main agenda topics. The first was to complete an evaluation of the Clark Ranch master plan, amenities, partnerships, and activities that are included in the master plan. Alana, I'm gonna share something else here real quick. And so what the group did is they went through and evaluated every partnership and amenity in the Clark Ranch master plan and asked if it still fits at Clark Ranch. Does it make sense for it to continue there? Does the location in the master plan still make sense? And are there any adjustments that are necessary as a part of that amenity? So we went through this with each and every one of the amenities that were proposed in Clark Ranch. I'm trying to see what adjustments needed to occur. So just some real quick high points. One of the notable adjustments was Spirit Horse needing a little bit more land. It's really kind of quantifying in the master plan the amount of space that generally Spirit Horse currently has out on site and making that represented on the master plan. So that'll be an adjustment you'll see here in a second. Another big change or suggestion that came out was that the environmental center planned at that site doesn't necessarily have to be at Clark Ranch, but with the potential of the courtyard site being available in that existing building, likely to be vacated here in the near future, that is likely an ideal location. So that was a recommendation that came out of the group, was to look at that more seriously and use that as a likely primary location with some smaller programming space as a secondary opportunity at Clark Ranch longer term. Another adjustment that was suggested was the bike skills area that's identified in the eucalyptus grove. Moving that and formalizing the informal bike skills area in the eucalyptus grove back by the wastewater plant. So that frees up a little bit of space on the master plan, and it shifts it over to some area off the master plan. And let's see. We spent quite a bit of time talking about some of the group gathering areas. There's a couple of them, 4 or 5 different group gathering areas, and just making sure that we define what those are and what the intent of those spaces are. Like as an example, we have an outdoor classroom space identified on the property or on the master plan. So the question is that a reservable space? Is it like a picnic area, or is it different? So that's something that we get into and define more as we get deeper into a future design phase. But the comment was to be sure to describe that as we move forward. I think that was it. Kind of the biggest couple of issues that came out of the evaluation. But what that transitioned into is what we call a space planning exercise, where we looked at the existing master plan, take that evaluation that we did into account. Oh, what I do? Take that into account and then start on the actual plan, start kind of identifying things that might need to adjust or change. So that's what this graphic depicts, is all of those things that came about through the evaluation. You have little call outs and notes about all of them potentially changing. But the really interesting piece of it is actually doing a little bit of bubble diagramming to show how that space may lay out eventually based on that discussion. So this is what we're going to be talking about at the October joint meeting with PCS Open Space and Council, and getting into this in more detail and some specific direction. But you can kind of get a sense of the change to Spirit Horse here on the northern edge of the property, 4-H remaining generally in the location that they're currently at, shifting over some of the amenities to fit and kind of reorienting the space. The original intent was that this kind of southeastern corner was the entry point into the site. And with this adjustment, we're really kind of shifting that entry point kind of more midline on the project. All the same amenities are here, and even one added. 4-H made the
Archery.
request to add archery, so we've identified that as a location. The bike skills that was identified here in the Eucalyptus Grove has been shifted over. It's not shown on this map, but the concept is to utilize the organic space that's already been programmed and is kind of exists right now, but to add some formality to it. And then you can see some of these things that have shifted around a bit. So that's what we did at our last meeting. We'll talk a lot more about this at the meeting in October with council and the commission and open space. But that's kind of the direction we're heading at this point. The only other subcommittee update we have is the Conservation Trail Crew Planning Committee. Alana's group, Stacy's heading up and talking through. We did have an initial annual meeting where we talked about schedule and some tentative projects coming up, and the focus has really been on the next 2 upcoming projects, which is Coastal Cleanup for the conservation program and the Ridge Trail Day, which is in early November for the Trails crew. So I'll pause there, Chair, and see if there's any comments or questions on the update.
Director, when is the meeting in October? I thought it was November, but you keep saying October.
So we have a joint meeting tentatively scheduled with Council, Open Space, and PCS. It is scheduled for the 2nd Tuesday of the month, which I believe is the 12th of October, if I remember correctly. Sorry, I'm looking at my calendar here. Give me a second.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, October
So
12th.
then the November 9th, what meeting is that?
That's our normal PCS meeting, Karina. We had to move it because of Veterans Day.
Yeah, the normal PCS date fell on Veterans Day.
Okay, I was just kind of got
Sorry.
confused there with the Tuesdays. Okay,
Lots of changes.
that's okay. Thank you so much for a clarification.
Well, it
I
appears
think
that
that, I think Clarence was trying to ask if anybody else had anything, but he was on mute, so pretty good at
Sorry, that's exactly what I was doing. Thank you.
pretty good at lip reading, so I'll just, I'll just
You know me well.
take it from there. So Director, I hear lots of changes and lots of things happening that are all really exciting. I love that the Clark Ranch Master Plan is being looked at. And I love all these subcommittees, and I love the idea of a platform to get all of these wonderful changes and information out to the public and our community in one location for information for all things Parks and Rec. So I would just like to suggest a social subcommittee that I would be happy to be on. That would be a Facebook page solely dedicated to Parks and Rec. That would include all these things like we're changing the location of the food distribution. How does our community at large get that information? How are they going to know that? That could be posted, that could be pushed. We could all share that on our personal pages. The pickleball clinic, how do we get people to attend that? The information, the wonderful information that Liz shared on the why indoor rentals are not currently open and what the projected opening date looks like, and that we're taking this opportunity to make all of these changes that are positive and are good for our community, that the community at large just has no awareness of and no way to get that information. When the joint meeting is happening, and that there's these proposed changes for Clark Ranch, and that there might be community members that want to speak that are interested, I would just love one central location for all of this Parks and Rec stuff to go out. I'm happy to help manage the page. I'm happy to share the page. And so that is my comment.
we do have a group in town. Our communications group helps us get that information out. So we'll be certainly working with them, and we'll, Commissioner Griggs, you and I have talked about this before. I'll talk to Jen and figure out how we kind of connect to you guys maybe.
Perfect, thank you. That would be fabulous. I think it would just be so great. And a link to our meetings so that we can get people listening in on our meetings. We know that people want to be involved. We had, 10 applicants the last time commissioner positions were open. People want to be involved, but I don't think that we necessarily have a lot of people listening right now. So just to get that community engagement, that community involvement, especially as we come out of the pandemic, out of COVID. There's always going to be variants. COVID is life. But just so that we can also get back to the more fun things in life as a community. 4th of July was a fantastic example of that, just absolutely fantastic. And everything was fine after that. And we should do more like that and put it all on Facebook. Thank you.
To add to what, thank you, Commissioner Griggs. And to add to what you said, I think a platform where folks other than us can see those, wonderful snapshots that are made. Those are, it's just wonderful. It's just really very cool and inspiring. Any other comments? Well, mine is that, wow, it looks like there's a very impressive amount of work and attention to detail that was done for the Clark Ranch meeting, and I love the overlay. Super helpful, and it's actually a good reminder that all the things that were originally requested, they're still in there. They're still in there. Just and adding more. So just wonderful bit of work from our commissioners on that subcommittee. So so, 'cause, 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 ' Let's see, any other, okay, so seeing no other questions or comments, we'll move on to business item 7, Parks and Open Space Projects Report.
And Chair, I'll be hosting this report. Okay, so we just went over briefly the conservation program and the trails crew, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. We do have 3 Eagle Scout projects in the wings. First one is still waiting on approval of this project. That was to do some trail improvements at wetlands. The second one, I actually have a proposal from this young man that I need to review and comment on and provide some feedback. But he's shooting to have his project done by the end of the year. Ms. Lee is needing to draft up a project plan and submit it for my review, and then we'll be moving forward with her. She's also looking to complete her project by the end of the year. We do have a group of scouts that is regularly watering plantings at the Newell Open Space. They do it about every 2 weeks at this point. Also, Newell Open Space grazing management. We have regular ongoing communications with the cattle rancher that's up there and that is leasing space from us. He has mentioned that this is the driest year that he can ever remember, and all of the traditional historical watering spots up in the hills are virtually dried up, and it's the first time he's ever seen that. Kind of loosely working on a partnership with RCD in which they've gotten a grant to do carbon farming plans for vineyards in Napa Valley, and they wanted to reach out and extend their reach a little bit and do a carbon grazing plan. So they wanted to use Newell Open Space as an experiment for them. So we've had a conversation with them. We do have a bit of a stumbling block in that we need to improve the watering access for the cattle on the Newell Open Space side. So that'll be a project we'll be talking about in the next couple of months as a potential trail crew project to improve one of the springs and then study it to see how much water we have out of it. Once that's done, then RCD and their consultant will come back and start talking about what we can do to improve the carbon capture in the grazing up at Newell. Philadelphia, this is the wildlife camera traps. They continue. I actually need to engage the volunteer to go up there and pull the memory cards out and see what our data is. We haven't done that this summer since Shilon has left. So it's an ongoing need that we need to go up there and process that information and then create a presentation for this group and open space to see what we found. Barn owl boxes at the wetlands are monitored by the Napa Wildlife Rescue. They just gave us notice that the breeding season has ended. We had a very successful season, as I think I shared at one of our earlier meetings. They are going to be cleaning out the boxes for the season coming up in the next couple of months. I just got a notice from them. We do have all of our ongoing grants. Habitat Conservation Fund is for the first half-mile trail up to Newell Open Space. I do owe them a quarterly report. Per capita funding, I need to create an application package by the end of December. Measure AA, kind of good news. We've officially begun to start billing money to the project. There was one last thing they were waiting on from us, and we got that finished here in the last 30 days. So our project is officially approved to move forward. Environmental Education Facilities Grant formalizes some amenities out at the wetlands that is scheduled for next year. And we had a grant that I was working on in the early part of the summer, and unfortunately I lost track of it and missed a deadline. it was going to be a partnership with RCD, the city of Napa, and ourselves to do some urban forestry planning. And they moved ahead without us. We just really weren't prepared for it anyways, so it probably was all for the better. Next, design and construction projects. The Newell Open Space Trail is moving forward. We have the designer back re-engaged. They are doing some evaluation of the trail standard and are going to be proposing us some information. I reached out to the fire chief. I need to have a quick conversation with him on some trail access issues, and then we'll be able to move forward full bore with the trail design project for the Newell Open Space. Wetlands restoration, reclamation, recreation. These are the 3 feasibility studies on the wetlands. So sliding back a little bit on our original timeline. Was hoping to get this started in the summer. It's looking like mid-fall at the earliest at this point. Playground replacement project is a next year project, and wetlands edge environmental education facilities is a next year project. So that's a real brief update on our projects and partnerships, partnerships, and grants we're working on. I'll take any questions that the commission may have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Wright. Okay, floor is open for questions.
I just have a quick question on the playground replacement project. So the money is there, correct, for that? That's going to happen. It's just timing. And then the fully inclusive playground, is that the entire playground would be fully inclusive with the replacement, or what would that look like?
Yes, so we would implement inclusive principles as a part of that entire playground space. It's actually something that we probably, as we get started in the actual design process, I should probably bring back to this group and have a discussion about which of the 2 playgrounds we want to have be fully inclusive. I originally had thought that it would be at Community Park 1, but that's certainly something we can talk about either there or Northampton. It doesn't really make sense for it to be at Little League because it's so small. So to answer the question, it would be the entire space would be inclusive, and all of the amenities on it would meet inclusive principles.
And then just one more question. Would you involve, because I know there's some community members in that process as far as plan. I mean, I don't know what it would look like, but involving the community members that would be stakeholders with their families in accessing it?
Yes, absolutely. I've, in my career, planned 6 different playgrounds, whether it's a renovation or a new playground. And I like to have a design charrette day where we invite folks to come in with the playground manufacturer and kind of talk through different ideas and adjustments, and look at the different amenities and all the fun stuff, and kind of let them kind of pick and choose and put the amenities on paper, but that will eventually be on site. So absolutely, I love having community outreach and that kind of stuff. It's awesome.
Perfect. And I know that you've been in communication with, I know one person, so I know that she would probably be your best connection to get other people involved in knowing about it.
I have pinged her contact on the project record, so when we get to that point, I have her already in mind.
I would like to add to what Commissioner Margolotti brought up about the community input, and also is there a way that on this playground replacement you can do some sort of review of the parking situation? I know Com 1, the parking is really bad, and there's absolutely there really had to get off-street parking because of the way the park is very hidden. Not a lot of people can, you can't see it from when you drive or something. As opposed to Northampton, it's more visible, it's more open. So I'm wondering if you could do some sort of study about that as well, so the community can have all the information possible. To get to community, if you want to make it inclusive, we want to make sure that, people that are going to be using it are able to get to the park. I don't know if I can explain myself. If it's an inclusive park that, children that are in a wheelchair, then Calm One is not a really good park where a child that is in a wheelchair can get to, or the parking situation is not good as well. So I'm wondering if you could add that to your study whenever you bring it back to us.
Yeah, so the parking isn't a part of the scope in the project. It's certainly something we can look at. The playground currently meets ADA guidelines. Now that is a low threshold to meet. But the one important thing that is required in ADA is that there's an accessible route, which means that someone in a wheelchair can get from a playground or from a parking lot to that location. There is, if I remember correctly, 2 van accessible stalls in that parking lot, as well as an accessible curb cut that brings to a concrete path and then provides access down. So this is where it would change. When it gets to the playground is where everything changes. So it's currently meets guidelines. We can certainly look and evaluate the access from the parking lot to ensure that from meeting a higher bar, that if there's anything else that we can do to improve that, for sure.
Well, if you want to make it truly accessible, you have to consider having folks come in that maybe necessarily they don't have a car or a van, and they have to actually go by foot or wheel. Anyway, I just think it will be an interesting point of view for us as well.
Sure, okay.
Great, thank you. And looks like the playground replacement is a hot topic, because I'm going to follow, my comments are going to follow up on Commissioner Cervantes and Commissioner Margolati's. I was fortunate to attend accessibility workshops at the last CPRS meeting in March of 2021. And this is, just kind of a point of education. Yeah, there are current inclusivity principles that are a lot more enlightened than ADA standards. That was news to me. And also, my takeaway from it was that our vision should be that kids with disabilities, our vision should be that kids with disabilities playing alongside kids without disabilities, so that every kid can just be a kid at play, So, and I also know that there are playground companies that have that as a philosophy. So I know that this is a whole process. I'm glad that we're involving the community members, stakeholders, and this is a great area for us as a commission to be educated as to current thinking on having inclusive play areas. And that's all I have to say on that. Thanks. Are there any other comments on the Parks and Open Space Projects reports? Okay, thank you, everyone. Well, seeing none, we move on to our last item before adjournment, commissioner comments and future items for consideration.
Sir, maybe before you go, I have a couple
Yes.
items that I want to just quickly share with the group. Going
Absolutely,
back
Director
to
Wright. Sure.
upcoming committee meeting or council meetings that the commission may be interested in. We have coming up on the 5th of October, there is going to be a joint meeting with council and the planning commission to get an update on the general plan process, which will include specific points on the education lifelong learning element, as well as the Parks and Rec element. So it's not something that the group is necessarily invited to, but it might be good for you to watch and follow along. And should a topic come up that you want to provide some comments, that's certainly at your discretion. So that's the first item. The second one is it's come up a couple times during tonight's meeting, the October 12th Clark Ranch evaluation and eco center concept. Commissioner Griggs talked about getting the information out about changes to Clark Ranch and the eco center concept. This is really going to be the meeting in which the concept is going to be unveiled to the community, and we're going to be asking for feedback. And we envision that there'll be probably don't know exactly how deep we'll go yet, but a community outreach effort to inform those, especially those that live around the eco center or the Cope Yard, but really the community as a whole about this potential change, and to start getting feedback and comments about what that space may look like in the future. So again, that's October 5th and October 12th. And as soon as we have a rescheduled date for, or a potential date for cost recovery presentation, Liz or I will reach out and do a quorum check so that you can pencil that into your calendars as well. Our next meeting would be October of this commission, October the 14th. I tentatively have scheduled a review of a draft fee policy, but that is contingent on having this workshop with council beforehand. And I need to put some time into drafting some of the elements a bit more fully. So that's the one item I have tentatively planned for October.
Okay, Director Wright, if it's at all helpful, the commission members who were on that original committee, if you need our help, input, et cetera, with that, feel free to reach out.
Yes, thank you. That's an excellent offer. I actually will probably engage you guys in that.
Wonderful. And that's myself and Vice Chair Einberg.
Right.
So, okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So, well, it's like now we are at.
I have a
yes.
question about the October meetings. Are those going to be in person?
We don't know yet. It's not been determined.
But potentially?
Potentially. The decision hasn't been made at this point, so I don't know. So what we are doing in the background while we're making this decision is putting in place measures that allow us to hold, when we go in person, for us to maintain what we're calling a hybrid format, which will allow people at home to be able to review, participate, provide comments in a council meeting the same way we have been this last year virtually. Or actually, I should say, really, it's more like the last 6 months. We got into this really good groove of figuring out how to get public comment in a bit more efficiently than we were initially. So we maintain that even when we went to in-person. So the idea is to broaden out that reach and ensure that we're providing as much opportunity for our residents to participate, whether that's in person or at home, and still have that same kind of dialogue going on.
That's great. I think that that's really important. And I'm hopeful that at least the October 12th meeting could be in person, because I know that there are a lot of community members that would want to speak on those issues and have a lot of vested interest and may not have the virtual speaking process down, even though the city's gotten really good at it. It still is very challenging for a lot of our residents. And so they oftentimes don't get the opportunity to speak because it's just too challenging on the computer. They live alone. They don't have anybody to help them through that process, or they have Wi-Fi connectivity issues or whatever it is, but they should have that opportunity to be heard as well. So if that could be a hybrid, that would ensure that.
Yes, Commissioner Greg, we are all very eager to get back to meeting in person. We will, and I think the big signal for that will be council meeting. I was recently reminded that Councilman Pierre Washington has never had an in-person council meeting.
I've never had an in-person PCS meeting.
That's true. That's true. You're in the same boat. So yeah.
I don't even know where you guys sit. It's all a vague mystery.
Well, hopefully very soon, all those it won't be a mystery anymore. But yes, I think we were all similarly. We're just we're done. We're tired of Zoom meetings, and we want to get back to the camaraderie of our PCS meetings again. Well, I think that point is sooner rather than later. So looking forward to that. So any further? So opening it up now for commissioner comments and future items for consideration.
I'll jump in with a commissioner comment. You may not know anyway, we're 9 days away from the Evening at the Ruins Gala, and we are still looking for some bakers, people who have talent in baking, to add for our dessert dash. So if you are a baker, you know of a baker, we still do need a few items for that fun culminating end of dinner event that helps to raise money for the foundation. So if something that you're interested in or know somebody, just go to the website and look for the Evening at the Ruins page, and you can just go from there to submit that. So thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, and there's a coffee morning in October on the 17th. It'll be coming up at the wetlands. So just be looking out for that information.
Good. Once again for ACCPF. ACCPF. Yeah. Okay.
I'll go next.
Great.
Just want to remind everyone that the American Canyon 20th commemoration ceremony of 9/11 is this coming Saturday at 9/11 at the firehouse on Donaldson Way. Also, the address is 911 Donaldson, and it's at 11 a.m. Also, Tuesday, September 28th, the African American Coalition will be meeting at 6:30 p.m. Zoom link is at the ACMS website, the American Canyon Middle School website.
Great.
We hope to see you there. And also the items, I think, oh yeah, Melvin Court, tennis courts, resurfacing to be on the future agenda items. Thank you.
And I just want to remind everyone that Seroptimist/City Bingo is next week. So it's on the 16th, Thursday night. 7 o'clock.
Great. And I have a few public service announcements. American Canyon Chamber of Commerce is having its Mixer and Social at Mazetta on Thursday, September 16th, 5:30 to 7:30. Good opportunity to see where all our peppers come from. The American Canyon Arts Foundation, in partnership with the city and other groups and Kiwanis, is having the second annual Pumpkin Path, which is decorating pumpkins for Halloween, on Saturday, October 9th, over at the wetlands, and I believe that's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The change in that is instead of driving by and picking up a pumpkin to paint at home, we hope to have it. We hope to have the actual painting occur at the wetlands.
Chairman Merrill, I'm pretty sure it's October 2nd, actually.
You're right. It is October 2nd. Thank you very much, Alana.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yep. And let's see. Well, my the wellness group, it's organized by the Napa Valley Educational Foundation, but I also coordinated the wellness group for for high school students and middle school students, for students who identify as Filipino. We're starting up again, so we're registering students who are interested in that. It's learning about culture as well as getting mental health or as coping strategies. We're doing that again. So I know there's educators in this amongst my fellow commissioners. So I'll send that information to y'all directly. So any other commissioner comments or items for future consideration? Okay.
I'll go next.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner
Last
Graves.
little thing, just as I was sitting here listening to this meeting and all of the updates and everything that's going on, it made me think about Calabria Care and the services being brought to American Canyon, and then the senior center is reopening and getting renamed. And I don't know if there is an update on that, the status of that, or if that's just a future agenda item with where that is, if that's still a COVID restricted thing. So I just like to put that out there for the future to get an update.
So are you referring to Calabria bringing programming here?
Right, to the senior center program. Well, I don't know what kind of limited programming there would be, but I know that was an item of discussion, limited programming and services and things like that, transportation, the kind of some of the stuff that they do in Napa. But we had that presentation from Calabria Care, and then since then I'm not sure really what has happened.
So we, Alana helped me out here. We did the Dementia Capable workshop that was offered here in American Canyon. It was offered, if I remember right, twice. And the first time it didn't go because no one signed up. And then did we have the second one? Did it go, Alana?
The Spanish speaking one did not go. They didn't have enough participants to run it. But Calabria Care, we were working with them and are working with them to be able to have them in the facility to have pretty much information hours is kind of what we're calling it. So having them physically at the senior center for a certain amount of hours on a certain day where seniors can go in and ask her pretty much anything and get an answer from there. So that is something that we are working on to have at the senior center when we do reopen. Other programming, when we are talking about a soft open, meaning the programs that we currently have that are virtual, we're trying to bring them back in person. There's some interest to have them both in person and virtual so that it'll be kind of a hybrid class. So right now, that's kind of the focus. After that, when we do our grand opening, we will probably work with Calabria again and Commissioner Einberger to do some brain teaser classes and whatnot. But as of right now, we are looking at pretty much bringing our virtual classes indoors or making them hybrid, and then looking at Calabria Care being our information and assistance and having them on site for our seniors.
Perfect, perfect. Is transportation part of that discussion?
We've talked about transportation before. For our kind of soft open and reopening, I would say no, it's not something that is, we have the capacity to come up with a solution for that right now. It has been an ongoing and kind of is on the list, as it were, for updating our senior center and getting resources out. With virtual, we've seen a lot of people that have been able to join that can't physically get to the senior center, so it is nice to expand that way. And we have quite a few people that are at World Marina and the trailer homes in Valley View that are able to access the programming and whatnot. So like I said, keeping it hybrid does open it up that way. So we don't physically have to transport people, but it's on the list, and it's probably something we'll bring back to that senior subcommittee once we're up and running.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. And then we're just very early in the planning stages for ACHS Choir Crab Feed 2022, January 29th. You know, it's a program that doesn't get any funding from the school district. And so for them to be without funding is almost impossible for them to run their program. So excited to hopefully have that event in person this year. If not, there is talk about some sort of hybrid version. So we are going to do it one way or another, whether it's drive-through, hybrid, or in person. We will make it happen. So, you know, you can get your crab from the choir in January.
Great. Wonderful. Good. Well, lots of stuff happening over the next few months, so that's really good to hear. Like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn our meeting.
I second the motion.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
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 All opposed? No. No opposition. Motion passes. Our meeting adjourns at 8:57 p.m.
Thank you
So,
all. Have a good night.
yeah. Thanks. Have a good
Night.
night. Have a good weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Good night.
Mhm.